Okay, there you go, Furones. So now you're in with our Welt and Rheaume Miami Dolphins and Pig report.
Hey, I
All right.
wasn't ready for that when I logged on.
You saw Tua. You saw Tua won the first race, right?
Yeah, I heard that. I think that's what I heard. So look at that.
So
Yeah, you
this.
said who says he can't win the big game, big race?
There you go. He just won the big race. So our amazing cameraman, engineer, Sean Stanley is making his way back to the races to get race number 2. I don't know when it's going to go off. He'll give us the update. How you feeling, brother? How you feeling?
I'm
Good?
doing well, man. I mean, just trudged through a busy week of a lot of moves. So nonstop, just locked in day and night, keeping up with all these signings, agreements, and doing what I can on the reporting side.
What did you think of Jordan Brooks?
Jordan Brooks, yeah, physical linebacker, so a tackling machine. I think it's a nice pickup there. Some questions of him in coverage, so you got to work through that. But that's a solid piece to have now. 4 years into his career, get him first time as a free agent coming over from Seattle.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on.
We have developments.
We have a race. Here we go. Here we go.
Ooh, who's that one there? I saw him leading.
Number 5 apparently is leading there. Let's see off around that turn. Who won? Number 5 won in this race. There you go, folks. 5-1 in this race.
Is this something you can gamble on, or
we can gamble on everything? Everything. So what else did you get from the Jordan Brooks interview?
From Jordan Brooks, yeah. I mean, he's a high intensity guy. So I think that's going to be something that we'll like here in Miami. Watching him sort of be that leader in the middle of the defense. Obviously, that's an integral position where you want exactly those qualities. And I actually asked him about that video that went around a little bit of him on the Seahawks sideline. Yeah. So I'm sure you saw that in the interview. So just that's the kind of guy I think you needed another guy like that in this defense. One guy that is on his way out, Christian Wilkins, had a little bit of that to him. He was also a fun guy in the locker room, sort of, with the way he acted silly sometimes with teammates, but also knew when to bring it as far as the intensity and keeping guys on their game. So I think he's a nice guy from that standpoint that you're going to appreciate that part of it as well.
That to me is what I walked away from, that they're not only signing just players that they need to fill spots, but then they're also looking at the character of the player and the work ethic of the player, like a Jordan Poyer, or even a Saram Neal, which we'll get to that in a minute. And so with Jordan Brooks, to me, too many people, whatever, in all levels, media, fans, whatever. Oh, they're going to miss Christian Wilkins' voice and leader. And no, dude, somebody else takes over. Yeah. Holland will become a bigger part of it. Poyer will be a leader himself. This guy right here, Jordan Brooks, is kind of the guy that you look at that says that might be the guy that takes over and mother F's the huddle and gets in people's faces and rattles cages and things like that. So it shows you that the front office is not just looking at how to rebuild the team, but then rebuild the team with the right pieces. Because here's the other thing I just explained before you came on. You're building the team with character guys, right? And a lot of these character guys, they know it, and you know it, that they're only bridge players. They're here for a year or two. And so if they know that, you know that, they must be professionals all the time. Look what you're signing. You're signing guys that are already like real pros. And they know what they signed up to, so they're not going to be bitching and complaining. Fuller knows that he's either going to start inside or outside, or he might come off the bench. He's not exactly sure, because if Cam is a star and he's playing well, then maybe Fuller comes off the bench and he knows it, and he'll be all right with it. If Saram Neal is strictly just a special teamer and very little second, he's going to be all right with that. You know what I mean? And to me, that's what stood out with Poyer and some of the other guys, that they're also adding some pretty good character people.
Yeah, well, I don't look at Kendall Fuller as someone with his position potentially in flux. I would imagine I would slide him in as a starter opposite Jalen Ramsey. Now, we'll go through the whole offseason training camp, and if Cam Smith then takes his
Right.
game to tremendous heights, then we'll adjust that.
And
But
Nick
if I'm doing a
Needham
depth
was
chart
a
right now,
very and Nick Needham was a good slot. So you just
oh yeah,
I'm not gonna put anything past anything. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah,
Just
yeah. There's still a
shit
lot
can
of months.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
months before the season, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, I love the Poyer signing from that aspect, similar to, I mean, that's a veteran guy that you're bringing in, so similar to how Jordan Brooks, he can take a leadership role just going into his fifth year and coming into a new team as well, especially as you have the void of a Jerome Baker who has been around since 2018. You have the void of Xavier Howard who has been around since 2016 and Christian Wilkins since 2019. So all these guys that have been mainstays for so many years in what's really going to be a new look defense for the Dolphins.
All right. So the other interview that hit me, and none of us are perfect, bro. We're all human beings, and we could be right on certain things, and we could be wrong on certain things. And sometimes when you get new information, and I'm not saying that I'm changing my opinion or that I'm wrong about it or anything, because I need to be proven it. But I've never been a Danny Crossman fan. He has just not convinced me over the last couple of years. But then I listened and watched that Saram Neal interview. And I'm thinking, okay, the last 2 years, they've been ravaged by injuries, which then has a domino effect to special teams. He hasn't had a returner. Sanders got a little off track. Is it him, really? Do I blame it on Crossman or do I blame it on Sanders himself? And then I look at Saram Neal and how he felt about this guy. And I start thinking, and then they keep him around. So they're around him every day, all the coaches and front office people. So they've made other changes, but not Danny. And I'm like, maybe I need to take a small step back and see what happens this year. And if, they stay pretty healthy and it doesn't affect special teams, maybe, just maybe, Danny Crossman's a pretty good coach. I don't know, maybe. But I need to see it. But the Saram Neal interview, that was legit love that guy was showing Danny Crossman.
Yeah, I really like the personality of Saran Neal for, especially for the position he plays. I think he just has the right mentality for it. And what he showed as far as just the respect he has for Danny Crossman, a guy, think about it, he's coming in as a rookie in 2018 in Buffalo, and now is his special teams coordinator over there. Danny Crossman, of course, goes to the Dolphins, has been there since Brian Flores first hired him on his first coaching staff, 2019, survived a new coaching regime, survived these last 2 years where we've really questioned from the outside. And it's because we're seeing the results on the field, which Mike McDaniel has himself noted that the results are not what they should be. But I think there's something to be said about what people on the actual inside must think about him. That he's got the respect of the players that are in there, his fellow coaches on the coaching staff, the head coach clearly, because while everyone else had him canned these last couple seasons, the head coach has retained him, and it's not like Mike McDaniel is afraid to make moves that are necessary to be made. So we've seen that from him, and then how he gives the keys to a new defensive coordinator this year, and they've made a lot of changes on that side of the staff as well. So I think, yeah, there's probably us looking in from the outside. We might have to take a sort of a step back into considering, okay, at least there are some things to consider from those on the inside, their opinion and what they see day in and day out of Crossman.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just that interview left me a little floored. Like, okay, something's going on here. I don't
Yeah.
know. Sean is holding up something. I don't know what the hell he's holding up. Oh, the winner? What is that? You won the Potbelly Pig race?
Okay, this is
Number
him
one.
coming back to you. I got it.
This is huge. See, he won the Potbelly Pig race. How about that? How about that, Sean?
And my mom said the big belly would never turn out for anything.
What the hell is this? Oh, they're bubbles? Okay, he won. Look, for winning the Potbelly Pig race, he gets this. How about that, dude? See, you can win things be here at the fair. I know it's supposed to be there, but whatever.
Yeah, be there. Be in the fair.
Yeah, but be here. Come here.
Yeah.
Come on over and join us and have a little elephant here. No, but seriously, that interview, and then the other part of that is when he talked about how much Crossman will fight for his players and all that kind of stuff. It also the one thing that also that interview did to me is that it was like, okay, dude, you know who Mike McDaniel is. You know what kind of coach he is. You know what kind of coaches he wants around him. It's not like an old bitter dude like the one he had last year, defensive coordinator. It's a lot like Sharam Neal was describing Danny Crossman. So it's, again, you know what I mean? So, and this is not his coach. He inherited him, but he actually inherited somebody that has his characteristics.
Yeah. It says something when a guy that, you inherit as a rookie when you come in. You don't get to choose what team you go to and who your position coach, your head coach, any of that is going to be. And then now he becomes a free agent later on and goes to a division rival to reunite with that same coach later on, several years later. And even in that interview, he described the moment when on his visit, they saw each other and how, his smile and how happy he was to see him. So you can tell, at least from Danny Crossman's perspective, and he analyzes this unit, this special teams unit, day in and day out, all last season, in the offseason, how they can improve. And you could tell from that interaction that he must have felt, and we haven't spoken to him since, I know we will at some point, but that he really felt this was a piece that he needed in order to get this unit to be successful and to get above those results that everyone's looking for it to provide. And it has been ravaged by injuries, or defense has been ravaged by injuries, and then special teamers have to play defense, and there's this trickle down effect. So there have been some sort of excruciating circumstances that have led to some of the things. In fact, even last year's special teams unit was pretty good to a certain point, and then it was just sort of tailed off at the end when you give up the big return in the Baltimore game that sort of started to put it away, and then the big punt return, obviously, in the Buffalo game, week 18, that one just shifted the momentum there when the Dolphins had a 1-touchdown lead early in the fourth.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good, man. All right, Armstead, that is a pretty cool on his part. Excellent job by Brandon Shore and company, getting everything set, and obviously Armstead going to play his final year here. But at least Miami's cap situation will be a little easier down the line, because if things didn't change, it would have been like 3 or 4 years down the line instead of 2 extra years.
Yeah. Still some kicking the can down the road, which the Dolphins are going to be doing, but a pay cut for Armstead, so a nice move by him. And and I guess he's taking it year by year. We'll have to speak to him again but the proof is kind of in it when he was this close this year. I mean, unless he ends up making it through a full season healthy, and then it's like, hey, that was all right. I probably have one more in me, but it's going to take a lot though. So
I think this is the year. I think because he's going to think of retiring, I think this is the year he plays most of the year. Like, things go his way, and it's like, oh wow, man, the year I want to retire, things play well. But let me walk out here with this year and not risk it and walk out injured. So hope for his sake, for the Dolphins' sake, for Tua's sake, for everybody's sake, I hope he stays healthy. But something tells me he's going to do his best to try to play as many games as possible, because it looks like this is it, dude.
Yeah,
this is it.
And he already does. I mean, he takes all the necessary steps and protocol in rehab, nursing injuries, preventative measures, all of that. He's all over. And I mean, he deals with multiple injuries at a time. He's on the injury report for 3-4 body parts at a time, and still tries to muscle it out as many games as he can. So he's no stranger to that aspect. But sometimes funny things like that have a way of working out, where he's injury prone, injury plagued, however you want to label it. And then one year it could just be where it all turns around. Hey, Raheem Mostert was a guy like that before he ended up in Miami. And sure, he has to nurse his injuries here and there's nicks and bruises, but he's been available for the most part. Played career high games, career high carries this past year. And then obviously he was out for a couple of games late in the year, but but still mostly available since he's come after so many devastating injuries in San Francisco.
By the way, Dougie Fresh has a question for you. Furones, as a journalist, why do so few reporters have access to pig races? And what are you doing to end this injustice?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's by choice because I could just go down to the youth fair and get right on it. So I've been too busy covering free agency this week, so I haven't been out of the house.
Why haven't you mentioned it to your editor? Like, yo, screw free agency. The pig races were going on in youth fair. Come on.
I think there's money in this shit. We should go out there and cover it.
Yeah, maybe the Hard Rock app will put some odds on it.
What? Yeah, that's what we need. And then you were just saying one of the pigs was named after Tua?
No, it was just number one.
No.
So
it was just number one. Okay. I thought we had a better storyline there to connect it to.
No, it was Uno. It was just an Uno. So we said, well, that's Tua, of course. Yes.
There was Snoop Piggy Pig.
Oh, it was Snoop Piggy Pig.
Lindsay Lohan. Shake and Bacon.
I mean,
there's some hard hitting stuff here, Dave.
Yeah, legit stars. Legit names, bro. I mean, are those wrestlers or pigs?
Well, the big ones were Shake and Bacon and Snoop Piggy Pig. And then there's one more, and I can't remember his name, but I had Snoop Piggy Pig. Came out on top for me.
There you go.
Left him in the cloud.
Snoop Piggy Pig. Yeah, baby.
I like
so
that.
He wasn't on any gin and juice at that moment, so that's why he ended up winning. I like it. If you're on that gin and juice, it's going to slow you down, folks. I just want you to know. It's just going to kind of slow you down on there. What was so far? So after all the panic in the first day, where are you at right now with how they've reshaped the roster?
Yeah, feeling a lot better about 2024. Obviously, that first day, you start to see, even though some of them were expected, you start to see all these guys go, and they're already kind of strapped for cash. So I think the Dolphins have maximized what they can do with what's available to them this offseason. It's still probably just from a starting point. They're going to start the season at a net loss from where they were last year. But like you've mentioned, hey, it's about staying healthy throughout the year. So if let's say they're starting out from first day of training camp, the roster's looking a nudge below what it was in 2023. If it looks anything better by the end of the year, by the playoff run, by week 17 and 18, those critical matchups to determine playoff seeding and all of that, and once you get into those postseason games, then that's ultimately what this team is going to be judged by. They need to get their first playoff win since 2000. So we're going to call it a success if they get to the postseason and win a game, start making a run in the postseason. And then we're going to call it a failure if it's another year where there's no postseason success.
Dude, they'll be better this year easily if they're healthy at the end. I mean,
that's the key.
To me, that's been outside. To me, the real problems are McDaniel growing up and really becoming a good play caller, game manager every day. And then the other thing is the injuries. They have been, bro, the bad luck they've had the last 2 years has been just crazy. And so if those two things just get much better, I think the Dolphins will be way more competitive and even have a chance to win a playoff game or two, when it's all said and done. But if they're not healthy and McDaniel still doesn't know how to manage a goddamn game, I don't care what else goes on, dude. You're not going to win. You're just not going to win.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you can improve in those factors, those aspects, and then also you have better injury luck, then you're going to end up potentially with a more successful season. But I feel the roster as a starting point on paper is a little step below from a starting point. But it could all end up a greater success if those things are taken care of and there's better injury luck.
What's left? Because a lot of people want a third receiver. And I'm not getting into the Jarvis Landry silliness, but Hunter, I throw out like Hunter Renfrow is a legit guy.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd may want a little too much money, right? DJ Chark, Barrios, dude. How about our UMer, bro? KJ Osborne.
Oh, KJ Osborne. Yeah, I mean he's a stronger receiver as well.
Yeah, size also as a third receiver, as a possession guy. Plus, he can swing to the outside for a moment if you want to take Waddle off or Hill for a breather. KJ can play outside too, but I kind of like KJ Osborne too. I mean, there's some guys out there, but do you think they're going to go for a third receiver, or is it more about the development of Azukama and everybody else, because now that you got Jonnu Smith, you've got a legitimate third option already.
Yeah, he's a third pass catching option. You're still going to need to fill out this receiving core, no doubt, though. So you're going to need players that you bring in. So it would be ideal if one of those is a bigger body possession guy. You could get a slot guy. So, hey, I'm partial to these Miami Hurricanes. So, I mean, Braxton Berrios, I'd like to have him back. Hunter Renfrow, I think, would be a little bit of a step up as far as a slot receiver, or maybe a significant step up. But with Braxton Berrios, you also have a good return man there. So if you want to bring him back for that aspect to his game, you can do that too. You have some options. I mean, maybe this ends up being somewhere where you spend a little bit later in the that June, once you get that $18.5 million from Xavier Howard. Maybe it's on the back burner for now. Because you did get a third pass catcher in at the tight end position in Jonnu Smith. You have the two tight end set between him and Durham Smythe that you could work out pretty well. So there's different ways that they can maneuver here. But, yeah, I mean, a slot guy, if Braxton Berrios isn't coming back, you're also going to need a returner back there, and a possession guy, would be nice moves to make to fill out this receiving core.
The first round pick kind of looking like a lineman, right? D or O lineman.
Yeah. I mean, I tweeted earlier today. I have a weight minimum that I want to see out of the first two. All right, between the first 3 rounds, I want to see at least 750 pounds, meaning or 550 in 2 rounds. Meaning, if they trade down and can add a third rounder, then all right, you could get like a receiver or something, but make sure you get an O lineman and possibly a D lineman or an edge rusher that could get you to those. So if you could get to those target weight numbers between your draft picks, I'd really like it as far as a positional standpoint. We know Chris Greer is going to go best player available every chance he gets, but I think you got to lean to the trenches on both sides, specifically O line. Right now, you've only made one addition, Aaron Brewer. We were talking to him today, and he still has his position to be determined. Some people said, "Oh, he'll definitely be the center," and he may very well be, because that's sort of where he fit best, just coming off last season. But if, let's say, center is where they go in the draft, or if another good one becomes available, then maybe he could still go to guard. So he has versatility in that respect, but center seems to be his best spot. But definitely, I want to see the trenches get addressed here as we go through the draft, and then also later into free agency.
I definitely think tackle.
Need a backup
offensive tackle or defensive tackle is kind of what I'm looking at right now because of Teron Armstead. You're going to have to. I mean, Keon Smith has been developing. Do you bring back Kendall Lamb? If you don't bring back Kendall Lamb, then it becomes an even more obvious thing that you've got to go get yourself a tackle to start developing, because one, you can't have enough of them. And if you could get a guy that kind of can swing, so let's say you do bring back Kendall Lamb, and Kendall's an older player, so you're not going to have a long-term deal with him, but you could develop the young guy where he can play inside and outside and eventually pop outside once Armstead and Lamb are out of the picture or something like that. You know what I mean? So I can see something like that, and definitely a defensive tackle, because they've added a bunch of them, but there are obviously a whole bunch of younger guys, more project guys, rotational guys. They might get some pretty good production out of some of these guys, actually. But, again, that needs to be seen, first of all, and we'll see how Weaver can coach him up, since that's his thing, coaching up D linemen.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them address both of those in the draft. Defensive tackle, the moves they've made so far, a lot of rotational guys. So Weaver will have to build them up. And also, I think you can rotate these guys a lot. So maybe it's not going to be where Zach Sealer and that 1A, 1B with Zach Sealer, where these guys are playing 90% of snaps, which is very rare among D linemen. It's going to be maybe Zach Sealer does all that. But those other guys, they're rotating a lot and staying fresh so that they can maximize their snaps. If it's like one guy's giving you 50% of it, one guy's going 40%, one guy's 30%, and different alignments. Some of them at the nose, like Benito Jones, or some of them in the 3 technique, and then outside. So between Gallimore and bringing back Deshaun Hand, and those are a couple of guys I'd like to see it addressed in the draft. And then maybe if they could like trade down and still end up with an interior lineman with that early pick. If it's a Graham Barton out of Duke, then maybe you end up with like a mid-round pick, a third-round pick, and are able to get a tackle like a Patrick Paul out of Houston. Then that's a guy I'd like, where you can have him as a backup tackle for now while Teron Armstead is still on this presumably last year, but a guy that you can also develop. So then you have a starter once he goes into year 2 and maybe has to step in at times year 1 whenever Armstead is hurt. So that could be a good plan for them right there if they can address it with multiple guys, multiple picks on both sides of the line.
Tua deal. What do you think happens? Is this right as the money becomes available from X? That's kind of when the Tua deal by then gets finalized.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily something that has to do with it getting resolved, because a lot of the big money is going to be allocated to future years cap space. But as far as timing, then maybe it could just come down to the summer is when it just gets done, some point in the summer, and then maybe leading up to training camp. I know last year we saw a lot of the quarterback deals, like Justin Herbert get his money right at the start of training camp, and then Joe Burrow even got it. I think it was the night of the opener. It was the Thursday night when the Chiefs and the Lions were playing, and then the Joe Burrow news dropped right as that was happening. So then and then he was going into week 1 on Sunday. So sort of that time frame seems like in the past has been when these quarterback extensions get done, and I wouldn't put any time limit on anything recent right now. They've still got a lot of offseason 2024 items to address toward the 2024 team. So this week I know it's been all about free agency and picking up these guys coming in, and then they'll be getting into the draft. But I think maintaining communication with Tua throughout the process, where if it ever comes to a point where, all right, now we can lock it in, get it done, but then maybe it ends up really coming down to the wire to training camp, and then that's when they sort of settle things before he starts focusing on the season that's coming up.
My man SoCal Derek has brought it up a couple times to me already, and I haven't addressed it yet, but you can help me with this one. So let's bring him off the ledge here, because it's unrealistic. He keeps talking about Brock Bowers. There's no chance Brock Bowers lasts to 21. If Brock Bowers gets out of the top 10, SoCal, it'd be a miracle, my brother. They would have to trade their entire draft to move up to get him, and maybe a pick for next year on top of all of that. It's just forget about Brock Bowers. You tell me, what do you think? That's just my opinion. What do you think there? You tell him, David.
The only thing I'd look out for is if he's lasting into the mid-teens. If you get into 13, 14, and he's still there, and the Colts at 15 probably will really I don't think he's going past 15 at the Colts. If you can trade it up right in front of the Colts and work out a deal, then you can go for it. You have a lot of 2025 picks because you're going to be adding compensatory selections off of this free agency movement. So
you want the whole draft to be Brock Bowers, because that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to trade all your
picks. That's the difficult thing, that you're going to have to trade a lot, and that might involve that. Well, it would probably involve that second round pick and a lot of your 25 capital. So yeah, and you brought in Jonnu Smith, so you didn't make that move for nothing.
Yeah,
Brock Bowers is an elite talent, though.
Oh, I love Brock Bowers. I would love Brock Bowers for the Dolphins, dude, but it's too much right now. It's not where they're set up for. They're already designing everything to take those picks. I don't think they've set themselves up to trade up to get. And Brock Bowers, I don't even think it's out of the top 10, to be quite honest. I just don't. I really don't. He is special, bro. No, I don't think so. So
you keep an eye out in case he drops a little bit. You keep an eye out.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, bong masks can happen to anybody. So
it's happened before.
But it can't be a weed one, because that's not really going to make it drop anymore.
Yeah.
Those days are done anymore. So
new time.
Your job, SoCal, if you decide to accept it, is you need to slip some kind of a crack pipe on Brock Bowers, and he needs to get busted with a crack pipe, and then he falls to 21.
There you go.
That's it.
You don't even have to trade up. You just take him right there.
right there at 21. No trade, no nothing. SoCal, you will be the Miami Dolphins MVP of 2024 because you made Brock Bowers drop like a rock, literally rock. So let's crack it up. Okay,
You got all the guns.
That's it. All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, right now, I mean, everything from all this week of free agency, and then we'll be putting out stories on interviews with the guys, with the new players that are coming in. So keep an eye out for that all throughout going into early next week as well.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. And as always, reach out to my friends at Welt Rheaume 954-966-4646. Bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. Call them right now. Ask for Jeff Welt. Consultation's free. 954-966-4646. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend.